Alright, welcome to the final video segment of the video tutorials for Phire CMS. In this we're going to go over a pretty cool feature that was built in right out the gate because of all the headaches I've had with other CMSs and migrating them over, and that's the migration sync feature. Basically, if any developer out there has had their fair share of issues with developing something on their local host and moving it over to the production server, or a client has a request to move hosts from this Linux stack over here to a Windows IIS stack over here, and the headaches you've had trying to get that system to sync up on the new platform. That's why this feature was built in. There's actually a migrator plugin that allows you to do a more fine-grained transfer. If you do a new install and you want to go copy stuff out of a previous install, like pages, you can actually do checkbox select the different assets that you want to move over through that plugin. But if you want to do a full, just straight up copy of something you're working over here on computer 1 and move it over to server 2 or whatever, you can do this very easily with the built-in migration sync feature. So what we have here is we have a fresh install on my local box here. It's Windows IIS MySQL 5153 PHP 533. Okay, you can see the site's up and running. The default site's there. You can view everything going on there. And we're good to go in that regard. Now, let's go ahead and move it over to an entirely different stack. And I've got the SQL file. I've already gone ahead and dumped that from the Windows install. I'm going to go over to this PHP MyAdmin window. And I'm going to import. And this is an entirely different server stack. It is Linux, Apache, of course, MySQL, and PHP. So let's go ahead and import that SQL file. There we go. We're done with that. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to copy all these files over, which I've already done just to save time, but I've copied them over to the directory document root of this new host that we're hosting it on. And what you're going to want to do is make sure that it's all writable. So make sure that the content folder is all writable. So the same rules apply. So we go ahead and make that all writable. And you might have to do a manual tweak of your config file if your database information isn't exactly the same. There's a high probability that maybe you weren't able to get the same database name or same database username. In this case, I set up something that was exactly the same, except the username was a little different, so it's Phire test. So I just had to manually edit that. Just be careful on that. Make sure your database information is the same. So we go into the Phire folder and we upload that config file. And we, of course, want to make sure that's writable as well. So now we're ready to go over and try to access this new site, which if we go to the actual domain name, nothing's going to come up. We'll get an error or if your errors are turned on, or white screen of death if you've turned your errors off. And that's acceptable because we're expected that, because that means that something's not synced up correctly. So let's go ahead and log into the system. You can still do that. So we'll log into the system at this new Linux install. We get an error message at the bottom that says there is a sync error with the software on the server. This could be due to a software upgrade or a system transfer. The sync will let you know even if you're on the same system, if some system admin upgraded the MySQL version or PHP version, it kind of gives you a heads up, hey, this got out of sync, you should be okay, but just to let you know, we know about it, you click here to sync it back up. If they went from like version, 5.2.9 PHP to 5.2.14 or 5.3, So here we have two links. We can click here to review the current system configuration, or click here to resolve the issue. Let's click to review, see what's going on. It's going to take you over to the system configuration file, and you get all this stuff in red. Everything's out of sync. Obviously, the document root is no longer // but now it's going to be /var something something something. The Windows, it's no longer Windows. Different OS has been detected. A different server software has been detected. It's obviously Apache. All the MySQL and PHP is all different. So now what we do is we go scroll down to the bottom, and we can click here to resolve that issue. We click here. We go to this resync page, and it'll let you know that we've arrived at this page due to a sync error. And then you can simply click this green button, and it'll resync everything back up. Is it that magical? Yes, it is. Now, it does ask you to check the values below, but now, obviously, the document root settings back up correct. Linux is back in there. Apache, the correct version of MySQL, PHP. We're all good. And not only does it do that, but for the main install site, obviously was before was C:\/ blah 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 blah, and now it's switched over to the correct document root for that. So if we were to go to test.phirecms.org, now we get the site. So that's how easy it is to switch a site from one stack to the next using the migration sync feature. Very easy, very powerful feature to move system installs around. Again, thanks for watching, and hope you're enjoying Phire CMS.